Namaste, Jai Bharat. There had been discussions in the social media, quite serious discussions, about the kind of discussions which happened between President Trump and Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. So then suddenly we come across people taking sides. Someone says President Trump should not have insulted him. And someone says, of course, he is within his rights to say that. Now, I would personally agree with President Trump. It's a simple logic. The resources which are meant for the citizens of the US, why should they spend it on another society for war? That's more important. For war, they have the differences with Russia, and it should have been for them to settle it and sort it out. If you don't want to do it, now actually the whole thing is because that time US administration wanted to put the gun on the shoulder of Zelensky and fire, using Ukraine as an instrument. I said this before also, using Ukraine as an instrument and making them play. Now this is kind of soft power, what people say. You don't do anything by yourself, but you get things done through others, and ultimately you get your objective executed. This is what happened with Ukraine. And the European so-called Union is absolutely soulless and heartless without the support of US. They won't have enough resources to spend on things like war, battle, which of course is unimaginably huge amount of money. They would want US to do this and dance and be with them without hurting themselves. They wouldn't bleed. They would let others bleed with the money of US. That's the kind of thing which European Union had been following. And President Trump is a nationalist, of course. That, of course, is one thing. That's just the one thing which I would appreciate. He is for his nation. That, of course, we are also for our nation. So such things we have in common. President Trump is a nationalist. Whatever he does is for his state, for his nation. And that he ought to be doing. He is perfectly correct in doing so. He is perfectly sensible, he is absolutely right in doing so. He is asking, why should I spend my money on you? He would spend, provided he gets something back. So they spend their hard-earned money on you, they will get something back, they should get something back. So they are dependent on the natural resources of Ukraine, which is still left untouched, as I understand. So if Zelensky should not have been hurt, his ego should not have been hurt, saying that it's my nation, I will decide. Of course, if your nation, you can decide so long as you are independent. You depend on them for things, and then you say, I want my independence. Not possible. That's quite not possible. If you are independent, you are independent. If you depend on them, then of course you may have to listen to them, because they spend their resources on you for nothing. Why should they spend for nothing? The US had been following such foolish policy for a long time. They have their aid kind of things with which people like Bangladesh try to look at the UN. Who are the people who got into UN? The left, liberal, radical Islamists. These are the three kinds of people who got into UN, and with the money or fund from US, they do things of their choice and interest. There are many who had gone from, even in our nation, this left, liberal, radical Islamists got into UN and make a good show of themselves, good job for themselves. They do it. So these kinds of people, why should you spend money on them to support? Eventually they are destructive, not constructive. So Zelensky's position is you can't bargain with the US, because they had been spending on you. If they had not been spending on you, then that would have been a different case. So they have resources, and the US is 50-50. Of course, that also you can negotiate, maybe 60-40, whatever it is. But then, if the US is making use of the resources of Ukraine, they have to spend for making use of the resources. That's why Ukraine had not spent so far. They have to exploit the natural resources, and for that they have to put in installations which would involve in financial investment. Who will invest? US has to invest. So if they are asking for 50-50, that's a reasonable bargain. And of course, you can negotiate little this side, little that side, but totally refusing means they won't come. Then now Trump is indirectly telling you go to hell, fight your own battle. And of course, you also you should have been thankful, and you're thankless. Of course, he's thankless in that sense. You don't compare the situations, the Biden situation with the Trump situation. Policies can change. Policies will have to change for the betterment of some people. Their own betterment. They would change policies. Why should they carry such destructive policies just because somebody has done so? There have been so many idiotic statesmen who have done such foolish policies, which others have to correct when time comes. There is no other way. If you don't correct, you will continue suffering. Why should? Why should the citizens of a nation continue suffering? So, Zelensky has to surrender to the US if they want to survive. Ukraine, when they were with the Russia, Ukraine was their prime place. When it was former Soviet Union, Ukraine had a distinct place, and Lenin was very much in support of the area of Ukraine. But those things are gone. There is no more communist chain that ties them together. They are not together. There are no more union of the Soviet Socialist Republic. The independent nations should have gone good with Russia instead of having differences with Putin. Somewhere, if they negotiate, things would have been better. But that they have not done, because at the instance of the European Union, Zelensky thought he's European. Oh, you can think so, no harm. They're part of European Union. So he wants to become a member of NATO. He wants to become powerful. He wants to show eyes to Russia. Of course, they suffer. Now, he has done a mistake as I understand. Zelensky has done a mistake. Trump is right. Why should he spend for others? That's I would also say the same thing. Many people support Zelensky that he has been insulted. I don't think he's insulted. He went for that. He asked for it. And Trump gave it. That's it. He is a straightforward person. I don't call him as blunt, but he's a straightforward person. He speaks what he means. And he means what he speaks. What more do you want from a statesman? We shall meet again with some other thoughts. Till then, it is Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.